Welcome back. Tonight we are treated with Jennie Johnstone is here with us, and you may know her from the Beaver artist groups. But I didn't know half of this. She's originally from Colorado. Did not know that. And we're lucky to have her in the Pittsburgh area now. She was an English literature major, so this is something you develop later in life. She rediscovered her passion for art and went back to school at age 38 and went to the Lyme Academy College of Fine Art. And she studied a foundation of drawing, painting, and sculpture. And she works in multiple mediums. She does pastels, oils, and acrylics in a realistic style. And her favorite subject is still life. And it allows her the freedom to create a new visual world in each painting. So she is inspired by careful observation of nature and the effect of light on objects. Through the tangible, the intangible emerges. That's very deep.
I know it was too much.
She's a member of the Beaver Art Group and the Cranberry Artists Network, and is currently the president of the Beaver Valley Artists. So welcome, Jennie, and I can't wait to see your take on still life.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. I've seen your work, and I know that there are many skilled artists in your group, so I consider it an honor that you asked me to demonstrate today. When Kim asked me to demonstrate still life, she hooked me, because that is my passion. I consider floral paintings under the category of still life. Still life painting has been around for a long time. There are examples of platters of fruit painted on the dining room walls of Roman homes. Many paintings that are of other subjects contain still lifes. For example, Renaissance paintings of the Virgin Mary with beautifully painted lilies, or paintings of people in everyday kitchen settings with food around them. During the Dutch Golden Age of painting in the 1600s, a wealthy mercantile middle class developed, and they commissioned art. Elaborate paintings of food or flowers were painted for wealthy clients. Also during this era, the vanitas, still life, became a subject. These often included luxurious objects that would have been collected by wealthy people, but they also had symbols of death, like skulls, or chaotic things like tipped over glasses of wine. Sometimes they had insects eating the flowers. During this period, their dominant religion was Calvinism. There were books full of aphorisms and symbols to remind people to think not of the things of this world, but to remember that all things perish. So these ideas showed up in their art. During the 1700s, two French and Spanish still life painters, Jean-Simeon Chardin and Luis Melendez, became well known for painting simple paintings of common household objects and simple food. Their style was realistic, carefully painted and simple. In Spain at this time, there was a lot of poverty, and food was not abundant. Melendez crammed his paintings with as much as he could. Impressionists often painted still life. It's a great subject to practice on, and with vivid colors of fruit and flowers, it would have appealed to them. I have a book on Impressionist still life that is full of beautiful images and very good descriptions of the compositions. Contemporary still life has its own qualities. It's influenced by other art of the 20th century. Two well-known contemporary American still life artists are Wayne Thiebaud and Janet Fish. I just learned that Janet Fish died this past December. Her work is amazing. She started painting during the abstract expressionist period and incorporated some of the expressive brushwork into her still lifes. Wayne Thiebaud is known for painting colorful cakes and pies. His work was influenced by his training as a commercial illustrator. Subjects for still life can be almost anything. Some contemporary painters paint old toys, candy, baseball mitts, cracked eggs, basically whatever catches their eye. And I'll just show you these books I have. This one is an overview of the history of still life. And that's where I got a lot of the information that I told you. And here's a kitchen scene with still life. Oh, should I stand from the camera? The kitchen scene with still life. Here's desserts. So Wayne Thiebaud wasn't the first guy to paint desserts, I guess. Here is a really well-known William Claes, Haida, and he painted these really beautiful table scenes, and he often included the tipped over chalice in them.
That was after he had a couple bottles of wine.
Maybe, although, yeah, maybe he painted everything, then drank the wine and then tipped the gin. And here are some of the elaborate floral still lifes from that period. And these are odd objects like books and little statues and things. So, so I've enjoyed reading this. And this book is my Impressionist still life book. I think it's still available. And it has beautiful still lifes by a lot of Impressionists. Here's a couple of Chardin pieces that were influential on the Impressionists. These are Fantin Latour. He was very well known for painting flowers. And he painted so many paintings of flowers, he got really sick of it. But people wanted them, so he had to keep doing it. And this is a Monet. I love this. And you wouldn't think it would work, but somehow it does. This is Manny. This is Gonzalez, Eva Gonzalez, and I once did a little pastel copy of this. I love the silky texture on the shoes. This is a Renoir. Even his onions look kind of like plump maidens. I love that painting. And this is a Degas. And it's a person, but look how much space the hats take up in the picture. He also did all those beautiful paintings of the ballerinas with all the skirts and everything. And this is Manet. And he's not really known for his still lifes, but at the end of his life, he was very ill. And his friends would bring him little bouquets, because he couldn't really go out and do much. And so he painted all these beautiful little bouquets. And this is Gauguin. Yeah, Gauguin painted a lot of still lifes. All those colorful fruits, tropical fruits. So anyway, if anyone likes this, I think it's still available, used around, but not too much. This book is a new book. It's really helpful if you want to learn more about painting still lifes. It covers a lot of basics about composition and underpainting. This little painting here is a contemporary painting. It's not by the author of the book, but I just love it because it's so playful and whimsical. And even though everything is kind of centered down the middle, you've got like things that are kind of offset and little diagonals, and it kind of moves your eye around. The colors are really great. These are actually like crushed cans that someone painted. So you can paint anything you want. There was someone in my art school who painted beer bottles and toilet paper. He was a young country guy, and I think he was trying to be rebellious. So this is how I normally work, but for various reasons that I'll explain, I didn't do that today. But this is value underpainting. And when you do this, it helps you to nail down your values first, and then when you put the color on, you already know. It's like a map. So this is a great little book. And this is Janet Fish. She painted these huge still lifes, like, how big are they? Like in 36 by 50. So this has other things like dogs in it, but her paintings, her canvases were just packed with stuff. But she loved color. This is almost like a rainbow effect where she has yellow and then orange and then green and blue. Her work is really beautiful, and I would encourage you to look at it. She was a master, a virtuoso with the brush. So these still lifes, each shape is a stroke. I don't know, I can't do that. That's amazingly skillful. And here, I'll pass that around. And then one more. This is Wayne Thiebaud, and he's known as the cake painter. Okay, I think it was the 60s that he did all these, and he was a graphic artist and illustrator. So he was used to drawing things for advertisements. So he went into like delis and places like that and just started doing paintings of them. So these are actually quite large. This one is, actually it's not as big as I thought, 22 by 38. I should have my glasses on, I could be reading something. Yeah, 22 by 28, 20 by 30, but he's just really known for these. And he was a really gracious person. He taught at a college in California, and he also did a lot of paintings of landscapes in San Francisco. But here's some more still lifes. Ties on our tie rack, pastels. I love this one. It's a gumball machine, a tie. So his stuff is a lot of fun and joyful, I think. Playful. So I brought a few of my own pieces. This one here, this was something I haven't normally done things like this, but it was for a show called Confluence, about the confluence of the Beaver and the Ohio rivers. You want me to hold it up? It's heavy.
Get up there, Banner.
What medium is that?
That is pastel.
Okay, it's okay.
So,
That's a good angle.
Yeah, it's good.
so
Turn it this way so she can.
I told my, I said to my husband, I can't enter that show. That's an abstract concept. He said, just find a bunch of things, put them together, and call it Confluence. So I was newly moved to this area, and I was really inspired by the combination of natural beauty with industrial landscape. And so I decided to do something about the history of the area. This is a 400-million-year-old fossil. It's actually from Mount Lebanon, but they might have had it in Beaver County, I don't know. And there is an oil can representing oil in Pennsylvania, which put us on the map. And this is an old canal in New Brighton. And this is an old map. It's now called Bridgewater. It was called Brighton. That's right at the confluence of the rivers. And this is the railroad bridge, the historic railroad bridge from Monaca to Beaver. And then this is the bricks and the glass are both things that were made in the area. Big factories. There were all kinds of clay mines underneath Beaver and the area around it. And then I included a flower for the present day, a fresh flower, and then a robin's egg, and this branch has little buds on it, which is kind of like potential or the future. So, and you didn't get to see any of that.
It's beautiful.
And this style is called trompe l'oeil, which is a French word. It means fool the eye. And you've probably seen still life paintings that have like letters and things pinned on a board with ribbons and yeah. So it has little tacks and tape and little shadows. So that's a trompe l'oeil piece, and I set it up outside it was April, so the light was really nice, and put a board behind it and took pictures of it. That's how I did that one.
How long did this take you?
I don't remember, it's a long time ago. Pastel is faster than painting for me. But I do a lot of drawing, and I'll show you my process here, but thank you. And then I brought a few other pieces.
Would you like me to continue?
Okay, sure, excellent. Okay with this?
You're hired.
Doing a great
This is
job.
much lighter.
You brought yes.
I'm so excited you brought the bunny.
Yes, I did this recently. I was at the park and where I walk frequently, and I looked down and I saw this on the pavement, just like that. And it looked like it had been out in the weather, kind of beaten up. Yeah, like someone loved that bunny. Probably a child, maybe a dog. And the sun was coming from that angle like that, which made that long shadow. So I snapped a picture, and I've done a drawing of it and a little tiny painting of it. And I finally just did a big painting of it. And it actually got a prize at our recent show.
First prize.
I just want to show you that something that's simple,
Yeah.
if it has the right emotion, emotion can be effective.
Right.
It doesn't have to have all this.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love the jurors' comment on it that although, if there's something that is really cutesy, but the way that it's presented there, it made it a more interesting story to look at rather than just a picture of a bunny.
Right.
So this is an acrylic painting I did. I just collected a few things together and brought them into a watercolor class I was taking. And I ended up taking a picture of it and doing an acrylic and a pastel of it. And I like the colors. And
That lime green and the blue, just
Yeah.
and the orange, they just
Yes.
pop. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple small ones over here. Okay, this is just a little one that I did. I had a coleus and I plucked a leaf off and stuck it in a little glass vase and painted it in acrylic. And I like painting glass, and a lot of people seem to like my glass painting. And for me, it comes easily because I just look at the abstract shapes of dark and light and the kind of murky colors. Like this is a green bottle, so it has a murkier green color. So I guess it's a red and green color scheme. And this one here, I should be in front of the camera, I'm sorry. And this one here is just a bouquet I got at the farmer's market. And I painted it for my mom because she liked bright colors. And then I changed the shadow. So it was sitting in the middle of my kitchen. There wasn't really anything for shadow to fall on. But then I just wanted to try, so I do this a lot. I just try things. They don't always work out, but I tried just putting a shadow behind it, which is kind of dramatic. So the light's like coming kind of like up like this, which is kind of like theater lighting or something like that. So, and then I do a lot of these little tiny cards for fun. They're quick and easy, and it's an acrylic card. And we exchange them in my art group. Maybe you guys have done that too, I don't know.
We have
But it's
not.
one original, it's not like a copy of
It's an
it.
original.
It's an
Pass
actual
it around.
painting. Wow.
Artist trading card?
That is such a great idea.
Yes. And so, a few things to know about composition for still life. Create a theme, either a visual theme with colors and textures that go together, or a subject matter theme, like say kitchen items, like to bake a cake or bake bread or something like that. It should have some kind of cohesion. So the colors should work together, and it's nice if it also has a theme, but it doesn't have to have a theme. An idea theme. And you should use a variety of shapes and sizes and textures. Think about the color scheme, whether it's complementary, analogous, primary, secondary, whether it's bright or muted, etc. And think about the rule of thirds to put your focal point in a sweet spot and add diagonals. So for this one, I used a grid, a thirds grid, to set it up. I set it up in my, ooh, I just put this on my paint. I set it up in my dining room, and when I
You don't
drew
have a
it-
cat, huh?
No. There's a lot of stuff around the
That
house.
was 5 minutes.
There's a lot of stuff because of the box, for one thing, with the cat, right? So it was in a box, and I just turned it so the light hit it the way I wanted to. I wanted the light to hit in the front here and over here. I didn't want it, and I wanted this to kind of fade in the back. And this is the drawing I did, and I drew the outline of the panel on here, and then I took in a 1/4 inch all around for framing. I always do that because I have a tendency to kind of run off the page too much. So, and I'm very messy drawer. If you look closely, there's tons of erase marks on here. So I had to take a marker or a pen or something and figure out where the real lines that I wanted to keep were, and then I erased the pencil marks. So that's how I generally work with, especially the bigger pieces, but that's just my technique. And then I usually do a value underpainting, but this piece here, I didn't do that because I'm trying something I haven't tried before, which probably isn't a good idea right before a demo, but I'm using water mixable oils, and I actually ordered an oil primed panel, but it was a square, and when I finally got my composition the way I liked it, it turned out to be a rectangle, so I had to run to Michael's and just get an acrylic prime panel. When I transferred my drawing, instead of using oil to transfer it, I used pencil, graphite paper, and so I wanted to seal that, so I put, what is it called? Isolation coat, which is what I put on my acrylics before I varnished them. I put that on there to kind of seal it, and I thought, oh, that'll work just fine. But the oil is having trouble sticking to the acrylic isolation coat, so what I ended up doing, instead of doing my wipeout to start with, I just ended up painting on it and using very washy paint underneath to kind of get my bearings and figure out where I was going. And I wanted to be sure to get my darker values back here so that they didn't stand out too much. They kind of blend in with the background. And so I tried to set up my light and shadow mostly on this. And obviously I can't finish it tonight, but I could probably show you a few things, painting a few different things. So
Silly question, how would you have that mounted on there?
I just used
Like double face tape?
yes. I think it's either artist tape. I think it's artist tape. You know, that white paper tape. That's what I usually use for stuff. It's kind of heavy, so I'm glad it's sticking. But I like to have panels on something so that they're not bumping the edges of the easel. It drives me crazy when they're like obscured by the easel.
How did you, I don't understand, how did you transfer the drawing?
I traced it on tracing paper, so it's very tedious. Not everybody would do this. Traced it on tracing paper once I had the dark outlines there, and then I used graphite paper to transfer it. And another way for an oil, that's what I do for an acrylic painting, but I learned that the graphite has to be sealed or it'll wash away right away. So usually with a small acrylic painting, I would just take some acrylic paint and dab on the lines. One of the techniques for oil paintings is put oil paint on the back of your tracing paper and then put it on there and just trace, and you'll get the oil paint on it. But I didn't do that. And maybe because I was running out of time and I was worried it wouldn't dry, or maybe I just was tired, it was late at night or something. So anyway, I'm having a little technical problems, but I think I can start going in with thicker paint and paint some things. This, I'm thinking I'm going to have my signature here, so once this dries, I'll put some paint on top of it and scratch out my signature. That's what I'm thinking. I think I've tried that once or twice, but with acrylic, so not with oil. So, because I find it difficult to write my signature with a brush. So let me get started. Oh, did I say that I gridded out the gridded this when I was drawing it too? I also moved this over a smidge, which is why I added the book there, to kind of give it a reason to move over a little bit. I need to turn my nook on. I didn't want the battery to go down, so I didn't turn it on, because when it's on for full brightness, the battery runs down quickly. And I used this, I made this from 2 different paint swatches to get a range of values. Because sometimes, especially with certain colors like yellows, it's easy to get confused about what value they are. And like when I work with pastel, I always do value shapes, and then I find the pastels that match that value and segregate them by value so I can use different colors. So anyway, it's nice to have this just handy for reference. And I have a close-up of the flowers.
Do you arrange all your own still lifes?
Yes, except for the bunny rabbit. Yeah, I do. I mean, that's part of the fun of the still life, you know, is sometimes though, there are things I find around my house and I just snap a picture of them, but it's very satisfying to come up with an idea and set it all up, I think. Okay, so I'm right-handed, so I'll be reaching, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to turn this on, but I'm going to not put it on too bright because I know it causes glare. Okay. Okay, that's colors. Why it's not adjusting. Okay, I think that's sort of in medium. It gives me a little more light. Because that's not glaring, is it? Or is it?
It's on the video, it will take all wash all the color out.
Okay.
Looks real good right now.
Okay, well, I'll work without it. That's fine.
Could we shut the lights off here and just have her?
Oh, no, that wouldn't be good. Maximum light.
Oh,
Yeah, that's-
okay.
So, let's see. So I found that this little Teflon brush is working really well with these paints, so I'll probably be buying one of these. Needed most everything so far with that. And normally the background wouldn't be so brown, but I had a ton of raw umber, so I just warmed it up a little bit with some burnt sienna. So I just went with that, but normally it would be more grayed down probably. Let's see. What should I start with? Well, the flowers are the hardest. And I can try starting with one of the flowers and see how that goes. And I can also paint the glass and the ribbon. And maybe I'll start with the ribbon just to get some going. And the colors, I was trained with cadmium yellow light, cadmium red light, and ultramarine blue and white. And occasionally we were allowed to use alizarin crimson. But, so those are still my main go-to colors. But I have added a few other things. I use raw umber for darkening. So my value chart will come in handy for the ribbon. So I can see that this is probably just for highlights, and this is for the darkest shadows. And so I'll be working mostly in here. So part of the ribbon is this lighter value, and so I'm going to try to see if I can match that. And it's a little too, that alizarin is like super neon, So I tone it down a little bit with some yellow, and let's lighten that up. I might be able to use the, okay, it's too pinky for that ribbon. The ribbon is a more purpley color. That's too blue. I'm not a linear painter. I do a lot of trial and error. So, and the same thing with pastels and acrylics. I do a lot of trial and error and sort of easing into things. I'm not the kind of person who just sits down and alla prima paints everything all at once. So sometimes if you can't get the color exactly right, just get the value right, and that's good enough. So that's this value here. See, it's hard to tell. Sometimes when you're looking at color, it's hard to tell value, for me. Some people are really good at that, but
It's all relative too.
that's true. So I'm using this one for clean water and this one for washing my brush, but this is clean right now, so I'm just going to use it to get a little bit of water. Just so it's not so thick. Okay, so yeah, trial and error. That's how I do things. That's why I'm so slow, probably. Takes me a long time. Okay, that's almost there. And sometimes with lighter color, you just want to add a touch of yellow. Also, I used yellow. This is going to be the lightest colors in the light. So I used yellow in those areas because it gives you a nice start for catching the light. I learned that from Christine Swan, who's a pastel painter from here. So I'm going for the lightest part. I don't know, maybe you guys can see up there though.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have to be careful not to stick my hand in. This has like thick paint right here, so I have to be careful not to stick my hand in it. But if I do, it's not the end of the world, you know?
Now with these water and oil paints, it takes as long to dry as just the regular oils?
You know, the last time I used these Winsor & Newton, I used this medium called Quick Dry Medium, but I tried using it this time and it didn't work. It's not sticking to the panel. Plus it's very oily, so I don't want that much oil. But it's actually not too bad. I think they fixed it. In the very beginning, it never dried. It would just go for months without drying. So I think they finally fixed it. It doesn't do that anymore. So my thinking is kind of a yellow and purple kind of color scheme. The flowers have a lot of purple. This is yellow, and so that was my idea. I love painting ribbons. I love drawing and painting them. I love sinuous and organic shapes. And I'm not going to try to be too precious here because I know you don't want to spend all night just watching me paint one ribbon, so it might be a little sloppy. So normally I might be a little more fussy, but this is for you guys, not for me, so. Sometimes painting quicker, you can get some kind of groove going too. I love these like little highlights right on the tip of the ribbon. Those are fun. You know, in and out of the dark and the light. Okay, so now I'll go with a darker color, and that can actually be a little bluer because it's looking bluer in the dark. much of the ribbon is in the dark up here, so that would be even darker and kind of grayed down because it's not getting light on it. So back up there, you can go more. Let's see, let's try that. That's kind of a lot of water, but so I'm learning in real time here, right for you guys. So see how dark that is? It might be too blue, but just for now, I'll get the value on there. We'll see what happens. It may work, it may not, but. So the idea with a still life like this, or any still life, is to make it look like you didn't spend 2 hours putting it together. So it has to look kind of casual, although you do sometimes spend 2 hours putting it together and taking pictures of it. But it's supposed to look kind of nonchalant, like it could have just, well, this one's a little more elegant and formal and posed, but
Do you go out in search of still life items? Like when you're shopping or like?
oh yeah, I
Yeah,
have a collection of
antiques.
stuff. I have a collection of stuff in my attic. At a certain point I had to stop buying until I painted more. But yeah, in fact, that's one of the reasons I have so much stuff, because I think I get inspired by things a lot. So this is a dark shadow, so I'm just putting it even though it's not part of the ribbon for now. Sometimes I do like little placeholders for my brain. So I put the darker blue under the edge of the ribbon, even though it makes it look like it's part of the ribbon, and it's not. But it reminds me to go back and do something dark over there. So that's the wrong one, this one. In fact, this is probably too saturated, but yeah, it should probably be grayed down even more because it's, but
Do you have a studio set up at your home?
no, that's a problem. I have an attic, but it's not insulated and it's not, so in the summer it's really hot and in the winter it's really cold. And right now it's perfect, so I did work in there to work on this, which is really nice. And I mostly just use it for storing all the things I get.
Sounds
Yeah,
like,
that's
sounds
better.
like my basement studio.
So yeah, see, that's better. It's not so saturated. It's a little more grayed down. Like probably if I was adding black and white, that would help, and I do have it, but I'm just going with what I normally would do.
Is that where you think if you had done that tonal study, it might have helped with,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then I wouldn't have to think about the value and the color at the same time. So my brain would only be doing one thing rather than two. So sometimes, with acrylic, I've gotten used to going over things a lot, so it dries instantly, so you can do that. And so I'm kind of seeing how that goes here with this stuff, with this medium.
Now, how do you decide whether you're gonna do something in oil versus acrylic,
Well,
or versus pastel, actually?
I've been doing acrylic only small pieces, and mostly in my art group that I go to a weekly art group and we paint together, and it's portable, and so you'd notice that the acrylic pieces are they're not too big. And sometimes I do them in both, so I do two versions. So that's not getting quite the effect I want, but so I need something in between, value-wise, in between the very lightest and the darkest.
When I first saw that painting, when I came in, even on the thing, it looked like it was done already, you know? So I didn't really have that much more to,
Well, that,
it looked really nice.
I
as is,
think, I tried to get as much done as I could, so you guys could get an understanding of what it's gonna look like. So this is a light, oh, I like that color. It looks so dull on here, but it looks good on here. I don't know why. Okay. With acrylic, I work in layers a lot, so the fun thing about ribbons is they catch the light in certain ways depending on where they are. So where it overlaps the form, it catches light. And then there's
So are you generally striving, the goal will be like realism, or are you making decisions along the way, you know, that just please you? Like you're like, I want to change this.
realism just happens with me. I don't know if it's because I spent so many years taking drawing classes and I became very fond of good drawing, and I'd like to play more with color because that's a lot of fun. Set up little color exercises for yourself and do the same thing with like limited colors, and we did those kind of things in art school and it was really fun. So the paint's very thin, that's part of the problem here. It's not, the thin paint isn't like looking like much, it's just kind of scraggly. So really highlight here. You very rarely use pure white for anything because it's just too strong and it just kind of kills your painting. And even highlights can have a little bit of color in them usually. So now I'm just going to focus on this. So someone asked me how I choose which medium. Some of it's just a whim, you know, but because each medium has its pros and cons, and then sometimes I'm using one and I think, I wish I was using the other at that time, because each one has things about it that work better.
Do you often do the same picture in different mediums? You had said you did the one in all three.
Yeah, I do that sometimes because if I put all the work into creating the composition and doing the drawing, I want to get something more out of it, you know. Okay, so I'm going to have to redo this later because I'm not really getting it, but
It's looking good from back here. So.
is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to come together. Just to touch it, like a weird reflected light right here. It's not too bright. That's too bright.
Do you get up and walk back away from your paintings?
Yeah, or you can look at
Sometimes.
the video because it's
Yeah,
really
that's a good
starting to
idea.
come up.
Yeah, I don't have to be getting up and down a lot, but yeah, I can look right over there.
Yeah.
That's really odd.
Oh, wow, it does look really different on
Yeah.
the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
What
gonna
is
push.
the fabric of the ribbon?
It's not a real satin, it's kind of satiny, transparent, it's not super shiny. So that might be why it's not looking as easy to paint, you know, it's a
Yeah, more
little more
gauzy.
subtle, yeah, gauzy, yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is something. Do you, I was gonna say too, because I stand a lot when I paint, because I always have to step back and come forward. you know.
Yes.
It gives you,
Yeah, I do that when I'm drawing, and
When you have
I
work
do
a
when
full
I-
day.
I do when I'm painting sometimes, but I don't feel like, I feel it would be disruptive if I was standing too
yeah,
much, but
yeah.
it's
I'm
nice to be
just
able to do that.
asking it,
Yeah, I do,
when
I
you're-
do, it's important.
Mhm.
And sometimes if you're sitting for a long time, you have to stand, and if you're standing for a long time, you have to sit.
Mhm.
Put a chair behind your painting, and, okay, so that's probably enough for that for now. Even though it's not quite coming together, but that's something, so, okay. I'm gonna have to tackle the flowers at some point, so now that I've warmed up on the ribbon a little bit. So the flowers, the white flowers, I don't know why I did this to myself, but they have 1,000,000 petals. I don't know what these are. They look so real, but Michael's had this incredible sale on artificial flowers, and I ran through grabbing things and throwing them in my cart, and I love the bicolor, you know, the way you have one stem, but you have all these different colors, and I was feeling springy, and I love the purple, but painting all these petals is tricky. So the way to do it really is to they say to paint like a dark shape, like I did up here, and then paint light highlights, you know, where you need to. This, I did not get any grays in here, so I'm gonna have to direct paint it, I think. And actually, should I start with this one?
This looks like a challenge for you, Lance.
It's all right.
Lance likes to do very intricate
Detailed,
paintings.
yeah.
Yes, very detailed.
So I think my strategy here, we'll see how it goes, is I'm gonna mix up some grays that are maybe this value, and it might be a little darker than it actually appears, but just for the painting's sake, and with white, you can put different color in the grays. So if I look carefully, I can see some blues in there and some purples. So that also ties in with the other blues and purples. So, in fact, I might be able to reuse some of these a little bit.
Now, you said with the acrylics you layer. Can you layer this paint?
If you let it dry in between layers.
You can.
Yeah, so but this is very thin and it kind of dried. It's a little tacky, but not much. You can paint on top of that.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's that whole old master glazing technique that you've probably seen in museums. That's what that is. Sometimes it takes me a while to get the color I want. So I'm shooting for this value here. Okay, so this is a blue. I don't know if I have enough of it, make a little bit more of it. And this is my cadmium red light hue mixing with my ultramarine blue and a touch of yellow just to get it toned down a little, grayed down a little bit.
What type of yellow is that again? Cadmium.
This one here is cadmium yellow medium hue. They're not, the water soluble paints don't come in regular cadmiums. So it's meant to look like that. So I'm gonna go with this blue and see what happens. It might be
a little saturated, maybe dull it down just a touch with my raw umber. Okay, let's see what happens here. So we've got some dark colors. And my shape of my flowers aren't quite right. I drew it very quickly, so it's not very accurate, but I figured it didn't really matter because they're flowers and they're kind of organic shapes. So that's actually should be a little duller. It's too bright. That's more grade down. Let's see. Yeah, that's more grade, that's good. So, in painting whites, you can put a lot of colors in. You can do like pale yellows, pale pinks, pale blues, pale purples, just to give them more life. It's easy to lose your place, you know, there's so many petals, so that's probably why so many artists just paint a blob of color and then paint into it. For flowers. So I'm trying this, it may not work, but we'll see. So some of the petals are, you know, they're cooler because they're going back in space. Now, let's see. I want a warm white. So I should clean my brush first. I'm probably going to paint everything with this one brush because it's just working really well.
What kind of brush did you call it?
It is it's called Art Advantage Flat White Taklon. It's only a number 6, which is pretty small. So there are a lot of people who say don't use small brushes until the very end, but when I have this much detail, I feel like I have more control by using a smaller brush, so. I like that it's not too long either. My arms are short, so having a shorter brush is good for me. Need more color. So I'm just going for the cadmium light hue. See what happens. It'll contrast a lot with the purple. It might be garish, but we'll see. I can also do some pale blues. So I think I'll figure out the parts that have the most light. That's where I'll use this yellow and white mixture. Oh, peach is another color you can use for whites that looks great. So I did spend a lot of time talking about still lifes because Kim said I could. So, and she also said that I need to show you guys a finished version of this painting when I...
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, we would post that. We like to take a picture of as it finishes tonight and then side by side with the final.
It's so rare when people listen to me.
I'm really impressed.
I mean, just those dabs, it's already really coming together.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of green in the middle because I was trying to you remember the form of the flower, how it kind of curves like this. So the green's kind of like a little map, getting me where I need to go, making sure I don't lose that curve. And I'm gonna paint on top of it, so, yeah, I wouldn't wanna try to mix it in with the white. That probably wouldn't go too well. So there's a lot of these highlighted spots here. So my focal point is sort of this, and it's on the thirds kind. The third is right here. So this is supposed to be the very brightest one. So what I'll probably do at the end, if it's not brighter than that, is I'll probably soup it up a little more, or it may be that they both can be the focal point. They're both kind of on the third line. And then the ribbon, and then this is very light. So I need thicker paint. This is not thick enough. I think this is like a budget set, because I don't feel like the paint has enough pigment in it. I don't usually paint straight out of the tube, and I'm able to do that with this, so I don't know. So light's catching, it catches things that are sticking up. So there are a lot of these little petals in here. Okay, so now need to do something with the middle. So I think I'll have a warmer gray. So this was my, what was my gray? That was my gray. So I'll do like a warmer version of gray. This is almost like an orange, this particular yellow hue. Not like a true cadmium, I don't think, but I don't usually use medium, I just use light, so. Let's see how that goes. I'm just gonna go for it. Let's just see. I'm gonna start just putting paint on here and just refine it later. I'm just going to try filling this in, and then I also have, I have this close-up, but it's not as good as my nook. It's kind of washed out. Also, this is a brighter version, so if I'm going to use a close-up, I need to use one that's darker. So it's washed out, so this is the best source. So the little bit of yellow will come through, which, that's not a bad thing. So now I need to do a little more white. Catch some of those shapes that are catching the light. But not every single one, because then it starts to look repetitive. I need to get something coming out of here, out of the middle. There's like a peachy color in there. So in the middle, there's like peachy color. I'm coming out of the middle. Let me see how that looks. It looks very white in the picture, but maybe that's just because of everything around it. Maybe too white. The white looks too white to me. More yellow in it.
Is it? I think it looks good.
Does it?
I do too.
Okay, maybe it's okay.
Maybe you should step back.
Yeah, step back.
Okay. Okay, now it's kind of blotchy. It's kind of like a big blob in the middle, so I need more accents. Okay. Yeah, it is important to step back. You're absolutely right. When you're right on top of it, you don't see it properly. I should probably have one of those flowers in front of me and I could actually be examining it, but that would have been one more thing, just one thing too many. But that's probably a good thing to do in general, you know, understand the structure of the flower.
I'm interested in how like loose you start out, because like when I see your paintings, I always see them as being very tight, you know, and very detailed, but how you're starting here is actually quite loose, you know?
Okay.
Well, it's probably looser than normal,
Yeah.
because I didn't do the underpainting. Okay, so that's... I just need just a touch more dark in the middle, and then I'll call it done for now. So I'm gonna have to come back and work on that later. So that's, honestly, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know coming in here whether I would be able to achieve this, and I'm not sure that I have, but I know it was Sargent when he was painting a portrait. Apparently, he had this really long room, and he would step way, way back, and then he would go up to the canvas and put one stroke on. And then he would step way, way back.
He's my favorite artist.
Oh, that's amazing.
Modern artist, yeah. I like
It's
singers.
amazing. Okay, so let's just call that done for now. I can see some areas that need work, but I'm gonna move on to something else. So I love painting glass, and I take two pictures. I take a picture with more light so that I can get the drawing right. And then I take a picture that's got the lighting I want for the painting. And so in the light that's brighter, I got this little bit of the tape of the box coming through. And I was thinking, I wonder if there's a way I could get that in there and have it still work, even though it's not in the darker picture. So I thought I would try it.
It's hard.
So the glass, actually I can enlarge this, that would help. It's kind of like, in real life, it's a very pale green, kind of milky, not completely clear, but it's taking on the colors around it, so it's almost looking kind of purplish in here, but I don't know if I want to go purple. So I'm going to rely on my trusty old raw umber first. I found one of my colors in this batch called olive green, and I ended up using that for all this, and it's kind of like almost like what I think of as raw umber, kind of an earthy brown. So I don't want to go like that color, but I'm gonna go, let's just miss, these greens are very, very bright. I wonder if Miss Phthalo greens, and I never use phthalo green ever, or phthalo blue ever, because they dominate too much. But I'm gonna work with them and tone them down a lot with my raw umber. That's maybe too much toned down. Usually I mix my greens with blue and yellow. And that I actually like better. It's got a purple tint, so I'm gonna touch of that purple in. Sometimes you can't tell what color you've got until you add some white to it, and then you get to see what color it really is. So that's looking very purpley, too purpley. Some of this in there. So this is probably not the way professionals mix their paints. It's a lot of trial and error, but it's how I do it. So maybe if I painted more often, I would.
This is a new form of medium in a way though that you're working with, right?
It is.
So you're gonna do a lot of experimenting in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Do you always use brushes that small on the painting this size?
Well, I would use a bigger brush for some of the areas, but I wasn't finding a brush that was working with my paint. I do like, this is a 6, 8 is kind of my norm. I like small brushes, yeah, I like the control. And I know they always say use bigger brushes, but.
Sounds like Cindy.
She says it all the time. Bigger brush, bigger brush.
Whatever.
Cindy.
That's
We can talk
that's
about her
on
'cause
the
she's not
answer
here.
vocabulary.
What was that brush you were using the other night? A
000.
Yeah, bigger brushes
Looking for
are in your
40.
bag.
Yeah, looking for the 40.
Don't make them.
So, I'm finding that, what was I gonna say? Okay, hold on.
Well, I just think that, I mean, like, I understand the rule of thumb, saying, oh, use a bigger brush. But if your style
Yeah.
leans toward
Yeah.
this, then.
Yeah.
And you're working with fine detail.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
do
Same
the
way
same
with like
thing.
mixing the paint. If that's your style, that's the way you do it, so.
So, I consider that not working. It's way too green. And if it was really coming through, it would be more brown, because it is a brown box. So, it was something to try. When you get into these really murky colors, sometimes it's difficult to get them drab enough.
With the water-based oil, can you lift off something you put down?
I could probably take a piece of paper towel and rub it off.
I just wondered, yeah, with this
You know
style.
what works good? Q-tips.
Oh, yeah. The voice of experience.
I know with pastel you can use bread, Wonder bread. Yeah, like Wonder type bread with no seeds or anything. You press it on. So I'm gonna
In
try
case if
something
your
else.
white bread gets moldy and you're gonna throw it out, just save it to.
Well, not moldy. I wouldn't put moldy bread on it.
That might have
I've never-
bad, cause issues down the road.
Oh.
But you're wiping off, so.
So let's go with just going with the bottle color, and which I'm thinking is more. I'm just gonna go with like a grayish. So I'm getting reflections in here, so I need to get that color too, which is a little lighter. But you can't go too light in the dark areas, or then it won't read. Like this is probably a little too light for the dark area, and I'll go back in and darken that. But I kind of liked it, so I left it for now. So I'm not going to try to get, I don't know. Like, this is for the light areas. Just trying it out. That's a pretty good value scale. The light areas are they're actually pretty light with this value. The darkest areas are this value. There's a lot of colors in there, actually. A lot of values in there. There's a dark rim, so I may have to get a different brush because I'm. See what else I can find over here. Let's go dark rim.
You know, with the brushes too, I was thinking, it's what you're comfortable with. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I should be using a bigger, or yeah, I should be using a smaller brush, but this is,
It's your style too, you know?
Yeah.
It's everybody's different style.
Right.
Like,
right,
Because I was gonna say, because like you do whole paintings with the big brush, don't you? Everything with the big
yeah,
brush.
yeah.
Well, the bigger the brush, the looser you get.
Yeah, that's it.
My style is
Right.
not loose,
Exactly.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but you manipulate it too. Like if you need a line, then you do this and, you know, and this, and so, you only need that one brush like that.
Yeah.
I don't use one of the round ones.
Mm-hmm, no, they're always flat.
No, I use the
Yeah,
flats.
yeah, all the flats, yeah.
The flats are the most versatile because they
See?
can get edges and.
Right.
Right,
Although
right.
sometimes flower petals work best with filberts because of the softness. And so now I feel like I'm going somewhere. I feel like by putting in this boundary and the darkest color, I'm getting a more of a sense of this vase. So I kind of moved the flower over a little so my picture doesn't match exactly. So the flower is over here in this picture, but I've got overlapping. I took a lot of different pictures, so I found one of the other ones. But I was very enamored with the way these little tiny tendrils on the ends of the flowers come down. And I wanted to get that, so paint around that. So some people might call this like a paint by numbers approach if they wanted to be disparaging, but you know, I don't mind. I put a lot of effort into the drawing part, and that's a big part of it for me. So if I'm painting by numbers, on the drawing that I did, you know, I'm okay with that, I guess.
Well, you made the composition, you found the objects, you drew the picture, you mixed the colors, so if anybody says that to you.
Unfortunately, it always seems like there's somebody who will make a disparaging comment about anything.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't said this to me, but you know, I've seen things here and there. There's kind of like a, you know, the alla prima painters. They're like the virtuosos, you know, and not all of us can be like that. And there are these little things poking out, like little teeny, between the ribbon and the vase, there's like these little triangles, and those are kind of fun, little touches like that. Even though you probably wouldn't notice it unless you're standing really close and looking for it. So I know I only have till about 9 o'clock, right? So. see how much of this base I can get done. There's a lot of subtleties in these different shapes in the vases, in the vase. So now I'm going to draw around. Okay, there's a highlight there. And kind of up here. And here. So I like to kind of mark out where my highlights will be. This brush is just too small. It's not holding the paint well either. I have to clean this one and just keep using it.
See, I would have gone through about 14 paper towels by now.
Me too. Me too. Oh, Christie's a whole roll up here.
Okay, I'm just going to try to put a little thinner. So I've just got sort of dark values going here. It doesn't have to be the perfect color.
Yeah, you're so neat with your intimate.
We're doing a lot of scrubbing on this piece because just trying to get this thin paint to go as fast as I can.
This is something, it's hard because you only have a limited amount of time to get something accomplished. And you're gonna go home and work like for a couple, I'd work for a couple more days,
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
So it's hard to just.
Right. Some people paint really fast and they can get it all done. But I don't
Bob
know.
Ross.
Yeah.
And he died. So don't do it.
He went off to his happy little works. I love Bob Ross.
He's still on TV. Yeah.
You don't want to show me runs in it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, it's not, it's to watch other art. I always see other artists on their art groups. It's fun to watch them work in peace. That inspires me. And then it makes me go, I want to paint.
Yeah, you can't compare.
What the heck?
Oh, it's a compare. No.
Well, if anybody's interested, when we were closing out our studio, I found that somebody had donated to us a whole stack of Bob Ross books. And the paints and everything. I have a whole pack of them.
Really?
I didn't know he did books.
What's that?
I didn't know he did
Oh,
books.
yeah.
That vase, you did a lot. You published a
look at
lot there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
How it's,
it
yeah, it's
It looks really good.
appearing,
doesn't
yeah.
take much, you know?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
From back here in the fridge.
It's like how those white flowers really stand out now. It's amazing. When you started with the gray, I'm like, ew.
I'm like, oh my God.
She does know what she's doing.
You've been holding on to that for a bit, haven't you? It's all coming out
Only because
now.
everything turned out.
That's right.
Trust the process.
Yes.
So, just for kicks, I'm gonna put that.
Watch something, it looked like a bunch of blobs, and this artist turned it into this.
Yep, I've seen that.
Wonderful. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, so we've got some reflections going on a little bit.
Yep.
And I probably made this too light up here because I wanted to capture something that is probably not accurate, but I'm gonna darken a little. So it's not done, but that gives you the idea. So this highlight, there's like an area that's lighter in the middle that's kind of gray, and that's what this color is. Now I have to figure out where it was on my palette. I think it's this. That's two. There we go. So sometimes there's no water in this vase because obviously it's an artificial flower, but sometimes the water will distort things, which is really fun to play with. But even here, because it's got all this dark behind it, it's got these really cool little shapes in here. They're not too dark, but they're dark, but they're not as dark as the bottle. So anyway, to get the idea. Just a touch of this in the highlight. So I've got all this paint and I didn't use most of it. That's something I have to learn is how to put the right amount down. This has like.
So if you're using the water-soluble paints, then you're not using anything like linseed oil. So how do you keep your paints from drying out?
Well, these, they stay wet, just like regular oil paints.
So I wonder if you could put that in a wet box then, you know, like one of the storage, if that type of
Yes, that would
oil
work.
would work.
It would, it would. It would. Okay, so this is too light, but I think I think I just finished up this, get this darker and then I'll call it a night. I didn't do anything with the leaves tonight, but leaves are fairly easy. And I got the light on this, so I can finish this. This vase, it's a really, almost like a matte. It's got a touch of shine, but I just love the softness of the texture. And then I found a leaf from my garden, from my yard, and put it in there to kind of speak to the green leaves up there. So this will be like a light gray color. So maybe it'll be similar to this light gray or something, you know. Okay, so I think time's up, so. You guys were great.
Looking forward to seeing the finished.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see your process.
Yeah, you can even compare the one flower you did to the other one, and you know, how you showed how, you know, you brought the different shape and everything.
So how long will it take you to finish that?
This, at the rate I'm going, I'm thinking maybe 15 hours. I tend somewhere between 10 and 20 hours, probably. I don't know.
Spread across how many days? Like,
Probably across 4 days or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, because you have quite a lot
Yeah.
done in there, yeah. It's just been the touch here.
Yes.